Okay, I have to be angry.
Hey guys, welcome to the Take 3 podcast. My name is Evan DeGraff, and I have a lovely panel of 3 other white men. Yes, that's how we're going to start off today's show. We're going to be covering the news. We are going to be covering the Disney Fox breakdown. Jacob, Chris Stoneman, and Chris Clark and I also have some movie reviews for you guys, including Wind River and the infamous Captain Underpants. Let's introduce our panel, probably the most racist one. I'm just kidding. Jacob London, how you doing?
Yeah, no, fuck you. I'm out. I'm done. Nah. Yeah, you really. Oh, we're gonna be in a good mood today. Oh man, we're topic that's gonna piss me off. Oh man, we really are gonna be a fun mood today, aren't we?
Guys, honestly, I'm just trying to really upset Jacob as much as possible because for some reason he is flaming. I don't know why. He is in some type of
okay.
Really
wait, Evan, don't make fun of Jacob. Look, if he and Manning want to have a serious relationship, then let that be a thing.
No, that joke has died, Chris. That joke
you said he's flaming.
And that is why I made this joke at the top of the hour. Chris Clark, how you doing?
We're 30 seconds in and we've already lost the show. Okay.
We're also gonna throw it over to Chris Doman, the one who went into the word flaming and described it for everybody. Although that wasn't the context I was using it in. How are you doing,
Chris
Doman?
was mute. And Chris was mute.
And Chris and Clark was muted.
Oh, that's great. That's just great. This is a great start to a live show, everybody. Look, I just said that I was a Fuzzy Pumpkins. I'm a white man, and everybody around me is a buttercup in a field of strawberries and ice cream muffin cakes. But yeah, thank you, Evan. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this show and ruining it for you. And I hope you karma, bitch.
We're gonna move forward, and we're gonna throw it over to Chris Doman, the one who took my flaming comment out of context, something that we get to see in media every day, and use it in a different way. Chris Doman, you're dying over there. How are you doing?
Oh my God! Wow, that's the second time I've cried today. But I mean, first off, I get the it's been a fucking shit week. I found out my college got closed. So what the hell is my financial life going to be like for the next 6 months? I don't fucking know. But you know what? A movie came out yesterday. I've seen it twice. Whatever. It's all good.
Isn't it called The First Sith?
Yeah, exactly. The First Sith. It's part of this new Rian Johnson trilogy. But okay. Which, by the way, you know what? Fuck it. The group and I, we were all talking about this earlier. Guys, trust me, I want nothing more than talk about Star Wars, but we're saving that for Sunday for spoilers. So if we see even one, and I mean one spoiler in this chat tonight, you are kicked out. You are kicked out for the night. You are blocked and banned for the entire night. That is the rule. So has the hammer been laid down. I will go full Harloff ban hammer on all y'all's asses if I see one fucking spoiler.
Guys, Harloff doesn't ban people. We've gone through this. We've talked about this. He doesn't know how to ban people. But in the news of what's going on, Jacob, you've been in a really weird mood lately. You're supposed to be off. You're supposed to be on holiday, but every time I've talked to you, you've always been, 1, really disappointed. 2, just like you hate life. Or 3, what's going on with you, man?
Okay, I'm on holidays. I don't know.
So why are you so mad all the time?
Because did you fucking see the news that came out yesterday? The 2 really big things that we're going to talk about.
Why is Chris Clark having his mouth covered?
I don't know, because he's too busy crying.
Chris, wait, hold on. Chris Clark, what's going on?
No, I'm just shocked that that's just great, Evan. You're an asshole for a reason. Keep continuing to speak.
This is just This is going off to an absolute blinding start and fantastic. And Evan, you have done a brilliant job of hosting.
That's the whole point.
Thank you so much for this.
Chris Dolman, how have you been? I've heard that there's a chance that you might not be in massive amount of debt in the future. How does that make you feel, or does that make you scared?
Uh, I'm pretty. Well, I don't know the full situation of that story yet. So you know what? Well, I'm gonna shift over to talk about something that actually is relevant to something that we're trying to do, which is, have a sister channel, that being the Worldwide Movie Games Network, and the tournaments, I should say, the singles and the teams. Jacob and I still have to make our debut, and once we do, it's over. It's over. Just hand the belts over now. And then he's gonna make his run in singles. I'll get pretty far, but oh well.
Play me.
Well, hey, you know what? If I lose to you, I'm okay with that. And if you lose to me, you're gonna cry for like 2 weeks straight.
Nah, I'll live with it.
All right.
Oh.
In all seriousness, Chris Clark, what have you been up to lately? Do you have anything on your mind that's just random, or what have you been up to?
Oh, it's been a great week so far. Actually, I've been prepping for the Suddenly Soundtracks Christmas Marathon that will be happening next week. 5 movies in a row, music movies. That I have Late to the Party as special guest, and I have Brianne Chandler as a special guest. It was great the first time she's on the channel. So, just been very busy post-production wise, especially for this entire channel. But also, again, I got to see friends that I haven't seen in a long time from school now that they're back from college. It's just been a great holiday season so far.
Fair enough. Jacob, what is it like being on holiday? In all seriousness.
Nah, it's good. I'm on holidays. I go over to Bali next week, so looking forward to it, and it should be fun.
Also, you've seen a few movies that we're gonna be reviewing tonight. One of them being probably the second best animated film of the year.
The way you're touching him is very weird.
Yeah, don't that is a grown man, Evan. Don't touch him. Don't touch a grown man like that, please.
Especially one wearing underwear, but okay.
It's Captain Underpants. Come on, give me a break. You've seen Wind River now. You've seen Captain Underpants. We'll be talking about those later in the show. But Dolman, you're a big fan of Captain Underpants. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
I was a fan of the books back when I was about 8 years old, but then I grew up. And well, I sort of grew up because I'm still obsessed with Star Wars, but this movie just it hasn't interested me. It hasn't, because it's got 2 actors who I think are incredibly overrated in terms of their comedic chops, and that is Ed Helms and Kevin Hart. And it's not interested in me whatsoever.
You don't even notice Kevin Hart's voice in this movie, though. I literally don't think you notice their voices.
You do, but we will talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Anything else that we need to mention before we go down the 10+ movie stories that it does not regard Disney, Star Wars, or Fox? Anything else that we need to talk about?
Nope.
Any type of rants? Going once.
Well, here's the thing. No, I just wanted to quickly say, I'm not going to be talking that much tonight, just because I just want to listen to Jacob rant for 2 hours, and it's going to be amazing and glorious. And I'm just going to sit back, sip on a little gin and pop, because for some fucking reason, all you motherfuckers keep trying to tell me it's soda. It's not pop. I'm from Minnesota. We call it pop. Get the fuck over it.
The irony of that
It's
is
soft
really
drink,
weird,
but
because
whatever.
soda is actually in the name of that state. Well, I mean, my mind just blew right there, but sorry.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Son of a gun, Clark. Here's our first story. Warner Brothers reveals. This is at Brazil DC Comics movie slate. Actually, run that news stinger really quick.
Oh, you know what? I will. Awesome. In the news, the news coming out. It's going out. You hear coughing?
Do we have music for that yet?
Nope, I don't.
Okay, Clark, just tell me what you want, and I will make it for you. I can do this.
Nope. Actually, when we come back, I will have music for it, composed by Chris Stillman.
Oh God. Can we get like some like really? Are we back? Okay. Can we get some like really kind of like fake type of like this is your everyday news network and just like make it as like
Yeah.
satire is possible.
Again, tell me what you want and I can make it. I'm a
All right.
songwriter. I can do this shit.
Good.
Oh, can we just
As
talk
you
about the
guys can
fact that this is our last show of the year as well?
And
Yeah,
we're having a
exactly. And like,
production
I just
meeting
want to
live.
note this is our last show of the year. I was gonna talk about this beforehand, but I'm losing track of everything. This is our last show of the year. We're gonna have a really laid back show. There's only 4 of us. Clark looks like he's about to break out laughing. And I kind of want to hear Jacob rant. I'm also gonna rant a bit with him, kind of argue. But look, it's a really laid back show. We're gonna have some natural conversation, which I'm excited for. But let's pop into our first news story. We have Warner Brothers revealing the DC Comics movie slate. I do not have them listed for one of 2 reasons. One, it was announced in Brazilian Comic Con, so I was kind of too lazy to do the research. I'm not gonna lie. And 2, do I believe this slate? No. And 3, it's almost a non-story in my opinion. Jacob,
I agree.
you've
I
seen this
agree.
slate.
I think, look, Aquaman is happening. Look, it's
Yes.
been filmed. Wonder Woman 2, 100% happening.
It has to.
From then onwards, the ball's in the air. Like, I don't know what's happening. And this is going to be a very interesting future for where the DCEU goes from here, because that is, we don't know what this slate is. We don't know if it is going to be a legitimate slate that is coming up. We also don't know if this is that, our audience is going to come out for Aquaman. Like, Aquaman is 12 months from now, and our audience is going to turn up. Right now it's most likely going to open around $60 or $70 if that. If this thing opens at 40 million, where's the future of the DCEU at that? Where are we going from here? So I think Aquaman is a huge film that is going to really tell us the future of the DCEU.
And we lost
And
Jacob.
Here we go. It's funny we're talking about Disney and Jacob just was frozen.
We're talking about Warner Brothers.
Oh, whoops. Never mind, the joke fell flat.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay, Jake's
Jacob,
back.
you
Jacob,
just
you're
froze,
back.
but I'll speak about this for a little bit. Aquaman, I think, is going to do well. I think we're going to see it make probably north 700, which I would call a success for Aquaman, knowing how Justice League did. Wonder Woman 2 has to come out. If it doesn't, I will probably be the most shocked human being on earth. We're not going to get a Justice League 2. We might get a Justice League Dark that is listed on the slate, and if we do, I will be excited for that film. A Flashpoint has to come, because that's what's going to restart the DCEU franchise. Whether you like it or not, I think it's going to come no matter what, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Do I believe anything else? Batgirl isn't coming. No, not yet. Sorry. Joss Whedon, you halfway directed Justice League, and it did not make nearly as much money as it should have. So I don't think we're going to get a Batgirl movie. Chris Stoneman, what are you thinking here?
Most of these films aren't going to be happening simply because right now the DCEU is currently getting blown around in a tornado, inside of a hurricane, inside of a typhoon. Like, it's just it's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. But because the only films that right now are confirmed coming is Aquaman, and that's it. Like, there's development on Flashpoint, there's development on Wonder Woman 2. They're in pre-production, but is there actual shooting going on? No. So I'll believe these films are coming out when I hear confirmation that they're shooting or when I see a trailer.
Yeah, at this point, I'm lost. I think I know where they're going, and then Warner Brothers likes to throw a screwball at us. I think we're probably gonna get a Suicide Squad 2 because that movie made a lot more money than expected. Is that confirmed? I don't know. Chris Clark, what do you think?
Well, look, you hear movies coming out all the time, and some of them never come to fruition. With the failure, the box office failure of Justice League, I can totally see them just holding back. I don't know whether or not we're going to get the Aquaman. I would like to see them do Batgirl. That's something I would have loved them to see. That's been announced. Don't know if that's ever happening. So,
that was still on the slate. That was still on the slate.
It's still on the slate. Okay, cool. Yeah, the thing is, this slate looks it sounds awesome. I can't wait to see it. I just hope it does come to fruition because they just need to go into another direction. That Justice League movie, I can't tell you what it's about. I can't, and it's a 2.5 hour movie, and I can't tell you what it's
It's a
about.
2-hour movie.
Yeah, it felt like 2.5 hours. So yeah, yeah,
I disagree with you on that one.
It is what it is. But Warner Brothers, I just hope they can get their act together. That's all you can really ask.
You know what's crazy? Just something to know about Justice League. We're all four of us here are, I would say, pretty, decent film fans. One of us still haven't seen that movie, and I'm not pointing them out like he has to go see it, but like I think that should say something that a film fan that has seen 30+ movies this year hasn't seen Justice League.
Nor have I really had the interest, in all honesty.
Why is that?
Because from everything I saw in the trailers to the trial production history plus other reviews I've heard, it's like, honestly, do I really want to spend the $30+ I'm gonna have to spend on popcorn, a drink, my ticket, the gas to get me to and from the theater, because God forbid there'd be a theater within 20 minutes from me, and there isn't. So, sorry, Warner Brothers, but make better films, and then I'll actually like fork up the money to go see them.
It's true.
That's more than fair, honestly. We're gonna move on to our next story. The new trailer was released for Ready Player One. Just really quick, because I want to dive deeper into another trailer. Who else saw it, and what are your thoughts? Jacob, I think you did. What did you think about it?
So I'm a huge fan of the book. I've read the book at least once a year since it came out. Like I've read it. I've lost count of how many times I've actually read it. I really, really love this book and I really enjoy it. I personally don't think, I wasn't sure if Spielberg was the one to direct it. This trailer hasn't really sold me on Spielberg directing it, but it has sold me that, okay, this is an adaptation of the book that I have fallen in love with. Now, I'm still not convinced that Mark Rylance was the right cast for Halliday. He kind of looks like he's out of Hunger Games, but that's, we'll see that in the film. Halliday's not that big of a role in the movie, so it could be interesting.
Fair enough. Anybody else see the Ready Player One trailer?
I did not. I heard there's a spoiler in it, so.
Yeah. I heard there's something that does get revealed that I'm choosing not to talk about because I don't know the reveal, so we're not going to talk about that.
Beware if you see it.
And I didn't see it because I already plan on seeing this movie next year, and it's Steven Spielberg. Do you need to say more? No, you don't.
Not really.
A cooler trailer that was just released, however, that I'm shocked it came out this early, but I'm now really anticipating this movie. It was the first Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse trailer, and it reveals Miles Morales' big screen debut. It's an animated movie coming out. I'm now officially excited for this movie. I didn't know how they're going to animate Spider-Man. We've seen different styles and different techniques. I think the best technique so far was seen in the animated series Spectacular Spider-Man. But I think this is officially probably the coolest design that we're going to see for Spider-Man, as in the animated version of it. The story seems cool. The character of Miles Morales seems really in-depth. The Jordans on his feet. I'm really excited for this movie now. I was excited for it originally because we have an animated superhero movie coming in that's just not Lego Batman or something of that type, but a big screen movie that is Spider-Man and Miles Morales. Jacob, I know you're excited for this movie. What were your first thoughts on the trailer?
I was going, oh, okay. Like at the trailer, I was like, wow, I was not expecting this type of animation. I think the animation is very unique and very different, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. The reveal that it's Miles Morales, that it's not Peter Parker, I thought was really well done. The gravestone with PP on it, I thought was even better. Like it hints that this isn't a normal Spider-Man, that this is different. We are doing something different that you guys have never seen before, and I think if this movie hits and hits big, we could end up seeing a future version where in the MCU where Miles Morales is Spider-Man and Peter Parker has moved on. I thoroughly do believe that in the next couple of years we could end up seeing that.
Do you think that could be a good thing or a bad thing? to where potentially these MCU movies are going, which we can talk
Um,
about later in the show, obviously. But
It would depend on what they decide to do with. It depends on how they decide to do the storyline. I mean, we do have a very young Peter Parker. I don't think you could do I don't think you could do it in the next year or so, but you could do it in 10, 15 years as your turnover movie of go, all right, here we go. Instead of making it instead of just recasting a Peter Parker as someone younger or doing that, we can kill off Peter Parker and bring in a Miles Morales. Now, they have already mentioned Miles Morales. I think having they've mentioned him already in the MCU. They haven't actually given him an age, which I think was a smart thing, because now you can decide to go any age possible. So it will be interesting in the future.
very, very true. Chris Tillman, have you seen the trailer, and what do you think about it?
Yes, but I do want to point out a comment that our good friend Henry Sanchez from the Worldwide Movie Games Network. Now he's a fan of these Spider-Man films, but he accidentally mistyped a comment. He said "R.I.P. for my PP" in reference to Peter Parker. But
Can we just move on, Chris Clark? What were your thoughts?
well, hold on. I have seen the trailer. And while I like the story that's set up, I like the new look for New York. It's a really cool, sort of almost Blade Runner-esque look in New York. I'm not that hot on the animation because it's combining two styles that don't necessarily work. Now, granted, the trailer did look like it was somewhat unfinished, so like it was about 80% done, but they still had a couple more layers to fill in. And I think once they fill in those last couple of layers, it'll look like a much more coherent and a much more intact form of animation, which honestly, if they pull it off, it could be a hot Oscar contender come 2019 Oscars. So,
wow, that's bold. That is bold. Like knowing exactly how how Lego Batman is even having a difficult time when it's when that's one of the best animated films of the year.
But it also came out in February. But we can Lego Batman came out in February, which was before the last Oscars.
That's true. I just think it's a bit bold. Chris Clark, did you see the trailer? And if not, what do you think about the potential of this?
Look at it. Look,
nice.
I'm a huge Miles Morales. I love his comics in the actual comic book. He has a lot of strong storylines, especially with Dr. Octopus. His relationship with Dr. Octopus is very interesting. But I hope they incorporate that. But the animation looked great. I mean, there's a lot of similarities to Spectacular Spider-Man, and you can see the inspirations from that and the 1996 animated series, regardless if you like that version or not. I'm super excited for this. My only concern is this might confuse regular fans. I don't know how Marvel, the MCU, feels about having a second Spider-Man out at the same time as Tom Holland. We'll see if the audience responds to it, because this is a risk. It's a pretty big risk, and it's an animated superhero film, and you never know.
I would debate that, because I hate having this conversation, but what the MCU did such a good job of is solidifying what it is, what's intricate and what's not. You can argue with the TV universes, but people have just learned to accept they're kind of in the same place, but they're not really gonna integrate that much. And they've done a good job of solidifying this is our movie verse. And I think because of the style of the animation and because it's a totally new character, you can still have that debate. It could be in the MCU for all we know, but but I don't think so. But it's so different anyways from what we're given in the trailer. It won't even matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing is even if it confuses fans, it won't even matter because it won't be part of that storyline at all to any extent.
And Star Drew actually brings up a good point. I feel like hopefully with this movie coming out, we'll get a Blu-ray release of the actual 90s Spider-Man animated series. We haven't even gotten a DVD set of the entire thing yet. So, yeah.
Oh my God, something just blew my mind.
What?
What if, we'll talk about this later, but what if in that Disney deal, they got the rights to Spectacular Spider-Man?
They wouldn't revive it, though.
They wouldn't revive it. There's no point.
Right, but they can finally distribute it. Well, okay, we'll talk about that later, but that now makes me excited.
Jesus Christ.
Next story. another Spider-Man story, kind of. Woody Harrelson is in talks to join Tom Hardy's Venom. It's kind of an odd story, but it's fun to speculate what Woody Harrelson could potentially be doing. Doman, do you have any thoughts? You're shaking your head no.
Okay, if he's not Craven the Hunter, then forget about it.
I would want Tom Selleck to be Craven, but yeah.
I
What,
would
Jacob, do you have something you know?
Carnage, dude.
Yeah, sorry, Carnage is the only one that makes sense considering
Yeah,
the
but
film
dude,
has
they
nearly
well, yeah, but
it's nearly finished filming. Like
Yeah,
it's like so
Woody
so
Harrelson
it's
as
been a
Carnage,
CGI
though?
character.
Woody
I can't
Harrelson
really
as
see him
Carnage.
as
No,
That would be
No.
a really good Carnage. Woody Harrelson can go
No.
places in his
He doesn't-
acting that people don't
No,
expect.
he doesn't. No,
he's not Carnage.
he's not Carnage.
There's just
Because look,
Yeah.
okay. Woody Harrelson is great at being like passive aggressive level of menacing, but he's not physically that intimidating.
on top of that, he doesn't fit the character of I'm forgetting his real name. It's like Carmen.
I was gonna say
Kennedy.
I was gonna say Cassius Clay, but I'm like, no, that's not right.
It's CC something. Let's see.
It's Clyde
Cl-
something.
Cletus
Yeah,
Cassidy. There we
Cletus
go.
Cassidy. Yes.
But okay,
And he doesn't really have that quality, but you never know. I mean,
I feel like people forget the job of an actor. An actor's supposed to be somebody who they're not. And why can't he pull something like this off?
I mean, he could. I mean, I didn't think Michael Keaton was a good fit for the Vulture until I saw the movie, and I still have a few misgivings about their casting of Michael Keaton, but he still kind of made it his own. You never know what Woody Harrelson can do, but Woody Harrelson's played the same kind of note in Planet of the Apes, and he's probably going to have
Where-
a similar role in
where-
Han Solo. So I don't know if it's necessarily
Exactly,
a good
and
fit.
actually to piggyback off that, Woody Harrelson in Planet of the Apes, as great as he was,
he was wasted.
he wasn't like a straight up over the top villain. He was a more passive aggressive, kind of subtle, laid back kind of dick. And you can't have Carnage be that kind of character. Carnage is an over the top psychopathic monster. And I'm sorry, but Woody Harrelson, as great of an actor as he is, he can't do that.
We haven't seen evidence of that, but
I just need to bring up one big thing that everyone has ignored. This film started filming in October.
True.
Has there been
So-
any indication he is Carnage from the filming spoilers?
Well, okay, here's my thing. You've got a Venom movie. Who the hell is Venom's big villain?
Hydro Man, technically.
Mm,
But yeah, you're
okay,
talking
but
about
Technically.
But okay,
the one
what
that
is the
people know.
role- But what is the role that Woody Harrelson that is so late in the game that
Well,
2
hold on.
months
Well,
after being filmed that they're announcing him? He is a voiceover role then, or he's a nothing
It
role.
could be a
It's one of the
voiceover
two.
role.
It's a
Well,
voiceover
no.
or it's a nothing role.
I'm saying it's a nothing role, but because here's the confusing thing. Okay, so yes, sorry guys. Now it's my turn to get sweaty here for 2 seconds. So because Carnage, unless we all forget, is created from the same symbiote that Venom is a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is a Venom origin story movie.
Is it an origin story?
Oh,
We
would-
haven't got confirmation of that.
I
it'd be hard
would
to make a because nobody knows his origin besides hardcore.
exactly like that would be
fans.
stupid to not do it, to not have this be an origin movie.
Really though?
Well, actually, his
Sorry, this
origin
is
story-
this is what I'm so confused about this Venom movie, that it's in October next year and we know nothing about it. Like that's what's so confusing about this movie is that we don't know anything about it really. We know that the guy who did Zombieland is directing it. We know that Tom Hardy is in it and Michelle Williams is in it, and that's it. Like that's it, and it's got nothing to do with the MCU.
Allegedly.
For now.
Allegedly.
And it's going to be R. That's right.
Oh yeah, 'cause that makes yeah. I would say yes. Ergo, Woody Harrelson is Carnage. Obviously.
I mean, they could be proven wrong, but it is what it is.
We'll see. There have been many actors to prove many people wrong in what they do, and that's the greatness about acting. And I think and if he is probably isn't, but let's see his. I think he will prove a lot of people wrong, and which is why I'm really excited. But we're gonna move on to our next story. Joe Johnson is to direct Disney's Nutcracker and the Four Realms reshoots. Jacob, you know a bit more about this than I do. Who got fired?
So this is the third time this year that a director has been fired from a film and replaced with, a with a brand new director. We've had it after the I'm blanking on his name right now. After the Han Solo movie and after the recently with what's his name in Bohemian Rhapsody, Joe Johnson has come on.
Bryan Singer.
Yeah, Joe Johnson has just come onto the film to direct it and redo the reshoots. That's all
I'm not
I really
surprised.
know about it.
I'm really just not surprised. Anybody else surprised by this? Like, I just feel like it's normal business in Hollywood. They're like,
sure, until you realize who he's taking over for. And by the way, so he's taking over for Lasse Hallström, who did did pretty much every single ABBA music video ever. And he also did films like Chocolat, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, The Cider House Rules, 2005's Casanova, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, but his last four,
yeah, to be fair,
Dog's Purpose, 100-Foot Journey, Safe Haven, and Salmon Fishing in the Yemen, and Dear John.
All right, so let's do something. Over under 35%. This movie's gonna be passable.
Oh, over. It'll be fine. Plus, look, the guy is still Hallström is still overseeing the post production. It's just he's not doing the rest of the main photography for XYZ reasons.
Due to unavailability. Okay.
Yeah.
Might not have been fired. Okay.
So over
God, Stardew, no.
What did he say?
Jacob, over under 35% that this movie's gonna be passable.
I probably under. I don't care about the Nutcracker. I've never cared about the Nutcracker. It's so I don't really care that much about this.
Chris Clark, you love musicals.
Oh, I love musicals.
Over under 35%. This movie's gonna be any good.
As long as it's not Barbie and the Nutcracker, that kind of movie,
or Care Bears Nutcracker.
Yeah, as long as it's not one of those and it doesn't actually literally, when I'm watching it, crack my nuts in pain. This movie can only be at least decent. It's a Christmas movie. It's a musical. At least it'll have something there. I just dread if it's bad, if down the road it's on Suddenly Soundtracks and I have to cry. I can't believe I said that in front of all of you guys, but yeah.
One day, something will happen to Chris Clark. The stream will be shut down very quickly, and there will be people watching us.
Yep.
We're going to move on. This story is something that I've never heard of before because I'm still a newer movie fan, the National Film Registry. Some movies were added to it, such as Die Hard, Titanic, Memento, Superman, Goonies, and Field of Dreams, and more were also added. What is the National Film Industry? Never heard of it. What is it?
National Film Registry.
It's the registry, you dumb butt.
God.
It's
basically the show, mate.
Evan just pulled a Goofy.
Okay, so the National Film Registry is a selection of films that Library of Congress protect. Basically, their preservation. So they select that these films we are going to preserve. We are going to keep them and preserve these versions of the films. And the only way that you can ever be considered is 10 years after the release of your film. So it takes 10 years before you can even be considered. The last film, so there was a documentary about 10 years in 2014 that was considered. That was the last one really to be considered that came out within 10 years, and Toy Story was the one before that. 13 Lakes was the last one, and then Toy Story and Fargo were the last two films that, when they were eligible, were instantly preserved. So all it is basically just they're preserving these films so that if we ever have if the studio goes out of business, or there's no way for the copyright holder can distribute the films, you can still access them because they are considered that important. Basically,
yeah.
That's
what
you
they
be
are.
able to access them at?
Through the Library of Congress.
Yeah.
They have a patent over them.
That is interesting. Hashtag get free. Get hashtag get free enterprise on
Yeah.
this list.
Exactly.
One of a really interesting quirk though that is interesting to this. None of the original Star Wars trilogy are preserved.
Not yet.
There's something shady going
That's
on there.
not true.
No, none of the original ones are preserved because Lucasfilm would not send
Okay,
the
yes.
actual would not
The
like, they have a rule.
original cut.
Yeah. So the Library of Congress will not preserve them because they will only ever preserve the original cut. That's an interesting quirk
That's
of
pretty big. Yeah.
Chris Clark, over under, we'll go 2% Free Enterprise gets onto that registry.
Well, I'm gonna say that, but I want to say my 2 cents on this too. It's not gonna get preserved as much as I love Free Enterprise, and I would wish it would. It's not a Casablanca. It's not Citizen Kane. It's not King Kong. It's not these films that stand the test of time that would warrant being preserved for generations to come. Like the first 3 waves of the film registry is just is a wave of films that are just great films. And the only thing I'm really surprised about is the Goonies of all things. Like, I love the Goonies. I love the Goonies. It's a great film, but is that worth preserving over other big movies? But anyway, what they do is important. It's kind of like the AFI's Top 100, but it's like a time capsule of that. And it's just it's the best, it's the pinnacle that you want to get to in filmmaking, is to be preserved in the NRL, not the NRL, the National Rifle Association. No, that's
Guys, I secretly think Chris Clark really wants to be a part of our 2 cents, but just hasn't been there yet.
Yeah, I meant I meant the National Film Registry, not that. But yeah, that's a different association.
I do just so that I can give context before Chris. Sorry, I just want to give Evan context for how hard it is to actually get onto this thing. The last narrative feature film to like the latest one to be preserved is Memento, and that was this year.
Yep.
And that came out in 2000. So you think no film from 2000 onwards is being preserved right now?
No, I actually
Looks
think
like Ratatouille's gonna have some time to sit there and wait.
Ratatouille, and that's the other thing that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
You think Ratatouille came out? Ratatouille is eligible this year.
No Country.
No Country. I didn't think, but There Will Be Blood. I was convinced that There Would Be Blood would end up being.
That's
I thought There Will Be Blood is
Probably
such
next year.
Probably will be in the next couple of years, but do you think like Lord of the Rings? No Lord of the Rings film has been preserved at all. No, like
nope.
No Lord of the Rings film has been preserved. Memento is now the latest feature-length film to be preserved. Then The Matrix, Rushmore, and Saving Private Ryan.
Is Goldfinger?
What is your decision?
I would imagine Goldfinger would be.
But that's from like
Jacob. What's your decision process in this? What makes him decide? Okay, we're gonna save this movie over this one, even though Lord of the Rings is probably better in a time capsule than I would argue Memento.
They select up to 25 culturally or authentically significant films each year, showcasing the range and diversity of the American film heritage to increase awareness for its preservation. To be eligible for consideration, a film must be at least 10 years old. For selection in 1989, the public nominated almost 1,000 films for considerations. There's members of the National Film Registry Board. They decide, basically.
It's interesting. Dolman, is there anything that sticks out to you out of these few lists of films here?
Quite a few of them actually. And by the way, Jacob, I'd like to fact check you on that one. Star Wars was added the first year in 1989, and The Empire Strikes Back was added in 2010. Nice try.
But they don't have them. But that's the thing; they don't have the films.
Oh.
Like,
sure,
like they're added. They are technically added. But if you go to, if every single version of Star Wars, other than the version
I will continue on with my thoughts. I'm happy to see films like Spartacus, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and La Bamba actually make it into the National Film Registry finally and get the recognition that I think those films honestly deserve, because despite being quote unquote time capsule pieces, I think all three of those still hold up incredibly well, especially in today's climate and culture. And it's pretty amazing to see, again, three very different films get the recognition that they deserve. Now, the surprise to me out of this list, there are two. One is Die Hard, because even though it's the greatest action movie of all time, people, I'll put it this way. The truly high class do not look kindly upon these simple action films that simply just blow shit up, which, by the way, guys, if you know us, you know we love Die Hard, and there is obviously a case to be made for it being one of the best action films of all time, period, and it's a great film.
I'll watch it tomorrow night.
We are watching it tomorrow night.
Plugs
And
for days.
the other the other surprise to me is Dumbo.
Yeah, I don't like Dumbo.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
What?
Yeah, I think it's an overrated, boring slog. But yeah, I know.
Clark!
No, it's one of the few Disney movies I can't stand. But yeah,
Who hurt you?
a lot of
That
things.
that
Dumbo,
movie, that movie rips your fucking heart out, man.
It does at the beginning with the
Baby
mom.
mine, man.
Okay, we're gonna move on from
Dude.
hearts being ripped out. The SAG Award nominations were announced. I didn't write them down, but most of you guys already know them. Because we're actually gonna dive deeper into it and the winner is. I'm gonna be nice to Jacob here. Just anything that sticks out, either like a sore thumb or you're excited. Just one nomination. Anything that makes you excited. Doman, what's the one thing that you're like, whoa?
Boy, you are asking the wrong person. I haven't even read the list yet.
Okay, then we won't cover it with you. Here's my thing. For The Post, and I think it was another movie. Those weren't nominated because they didn't come to the SAG people yet. So if you're like, why isn't Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep there? It's that reason. They just haven't gotten the movie yet. Jacob, is there anything that sticks out to you, or maybe a little preview for in the winner is for this Tuesday?
A big standout for me is obviously Denzel Washington being considered for Roman J. Israel Esquire. That's a film that we have heard is not very good. It is a film that we have heard is actually a bit of a disaster, and the only reason he's being nominated is because there wasn't any one really else to be nominated. But we will be also talking about the fact that Armie Hammer was not Call Me in Your Name, which is a huge deal.
Very, very
Huge deal.
interesting. We're gonna move on to our last story before we do our box office. Creed 2 lands director Stephen Capel Jr. and Stallone, who was originally supposed to be the director, sits out on this round. This is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited for this because, okay, what Creed did so well was it got black culture right from the people I've spoken to. It got something that wasn't represented in film very well. It got it right. And what Ryan Coogler did with that was amazing. Now, can Sylvester Stallone do that? I don't think so. That's why I'm excited to see a director like Stephen Capel Jr., who has done little to no work, but Stephen Coogler handpicked and said, hey, I want you to direct this movie.
Ryan
That makes me
Coogler,
excited.
okay.
What?
Ryan
Ryan
Coogler,
Coogler.
but okay.
What I say?
Sure. You said
Stephen
but
Coogler.
okay.
I say, yeah, no, Abe's saying this again, and I'm like, yep. Thank you, Abe.
No, it's a conversation I want to have because it's like, that was probably my favorite part about Creed. Jacob, what do you think of the news?
I'm just happy we are getting Creed 2 next year. Like it for a film that, you know, I thought should have been out already. I really thought it would come out last year. Well, this year, sorry, like a month ago. I really thought that they needed to get on top of that buzz and, you know, get it out as quickly as possible. I think 3 years is a bit of a, I think you're starting to push it a bit with 3 years. But hey, look, I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping, you know, they can push this one out. It can be really great film and great story. Here's hoping it's good. I think this director could be a good idea.
Chris Clark, is this a buy or is this a sell or is this who is this guy?
Well, I mean, the first Creed was amazing. As long as the Creed can do what the first one did and expand upon that, I don't care who's directing it, because it is a Rocky movie. whatever way you want to put it, it is a Rocky movie, and there's a certain way you have to do a Rocky movie. As long as they do it the way that it needs to be done, more power to them. And I love how you just love this movie and you have never seen another Rocky movie in your life. It's really, really an interesting situation, my dear friend. But, you know, Creed 2 is going to be amazing, and there's nothing really much more to say than I just hope it succeeds, because it is what it is. Oh, this is happening too often.
Whoa, Chris Doman, thoughts? Go.
As long as the movie's good,
Yeah.
that's my main concern, because Creed is a fantastic film, and as long as we get a sequel that is just as good, if not hopefully better, cool.
Creed is the best reboot of 2015. We're gonna move on.
No!
We're gonna head into our box office. Speaking about reboots and things like that, there's a little movie coming out called The Last Jedi. I heard it's an independent film that Rian Johnson's working really hard on. Chris Clark, what's your box office list for this weekend?
Oh, you know what? Oh, goodness. I had something stuck in my thread. I didn't know you were going on box office right now. We are going to do the box office graphic. It's new. It's fresh. There's a bunch of... there you go. You love that?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
awesome. It's awesome. Cool. Yeah, and I need music for that too, Chris. So be my music bitch, please. Anyway. Anyway, at number 5, I have Wonder. At number 4, I have Disaster Artist. At number 3, I have Murder on the Orient Express. 2, I have Coco, and then I have Last Jedi making a whopping $200 million. At number
So,
1.
Chris Doman, you look shocked. Would you either like to educate or make this list right?
I kind of want to do a little bit of everything, but at number 5, I have, sadly, Justice League.
Oh, I completely forgot about Justice League.
Number 4, I have The Disaster Artist. At number 3, I have Coco. Number 2, I have Ferdinand. And at number 1, I of course have The Last Jedi making $220. I think it'll come within $30 million of Force Awakens, but it just won't quite get past that.
Jacob London, what's your list?
I have number 5, The Disaster Artist. Number 4, Wonder. Number 3, Coco. Number 2, Ferdinand. And number 1, The Last Jedi, making $228 million.
Is The Disaster Artist opening in more theaters this week? Am I missing
It's
something?
1,000. It's
Yeah, it's opening in
1,000
more
theaters.
Yeah.
It's now in 1,000 theaters,
I can finally see it.
and like I don't know. I don't see anything else being that number 10, that number 5 spot.
All right, here's what I got. I have 5, Justice League. 4, Wonder. 3, Coco. 2, Ferdinand. And number 1, The Last Jedi. Have you guys heard of it?
A little bit.
Okay.
No.
It's gonna make $205 million this weekend. Few reasons. 1, people aren't going to the movies as much this year. That's a basic fact. The top grossing film is only making $1.2 billion this year. That to me is a sign that people aren't going to movies as much. And 2, it's obviously a sequel. So I think 205 is where it's going to land about, because it's also a December release. So I am very curious. Maybe, and also I would argue that their marketing campaign wasn't as strong as it was for The Force Awakens. So I'm curious to see where it lands. I was also looking to buy tickets a little bit earlier. A lot of the theaters aren't sold out. So there's a lot of moving parts here that people really aren't talking about. I don't think it cracks 220 at all. I don't think it touches that number. I think 205 is right where it's going to sit. And on that note, we're going to head off to break for a little bit. You guys are going to see Matthew Kearns' bit of shenanigans off camera that he has done this week. This is what happens when you get bored for a little bit. And we will be talking about, finally, Jacob and I will be going in a very heated discussion pertaining to the Fox and Disney breakdown, as he wrote a bunch of notes about business and things like that. We're also going to do a few movie reviews. Wind River, Captain Underpants, and a few other things, and we'll go to break. Let's go.
Call me Snake.
Hey guys, welcome to my new podcast, Rustlin' on Russell, the Kurt Russell fan podcast. This is the show where we talk about one thing, and that is the man, the myth, the legend. He goes by many names: Snake Plissken, Captain Ron, the Commander, Elvis. It's Kurt Russell. I'm your host, Matt Kearns. You guys know me from around Take 3, and if you follow Take 3, you know how big of a Kurt Russell fan I am. So I convinced the higher-up-peers at Take 3 to finally let me have this show which the world was asking for. So today on this inaugural episode of the Kurt Russell podcast, we're going to be talking about Kurt Russell's hair. I mean, the man has amazing hair throughout his years of being an actor on film and television, so I thought it'd be best to start there. Let's start off with one of my favorite do's of his, which is the 80s mullet. Back in the 80s, a lot of these action guys had mullets, and Kurt Russell, he had one of the best mullets, of course. Most famously in my personal favorite film of his, John Carpenter's Escape from New York. I mean, just if you look at the hair, the part, it's a little messy, it's a little dirty. Just Kurt, you know, there's a lot that the hair is saying about the character here. Also, Tango and Cash, you know, in the same vein as Mel Gibson, Lethal Weapon, Kurt has a great 80s cop mullet. Again, yeah, not quite as good as Snake, but still looks great. Of course, we have another John Carpenter film from this era, Big Trouble in Little China. Now, this is a little bit of combed back mullet. It's not quite as messy as Escape from New York or even Tango and Cash, but you know, it's a good looking mullet. Let's not kid ourselves here, but let's move from the 80s and let's move into the 1990s. Kurt went a little shorter with the hair. We got Tombstone, again, a very very slick back. I think this character was a little more focused on the stash than he was on the hair, but you know, still hair looks amazing. Of course, we got Backdraft in this era. I mean, that was spiky hair, short hair, and you know what, I think Kurt should bring this dude back. I think Kurt should really bring this dude back, because it works for him. And now, of course, you know, caught up on today, Kurt's gone back to the mullet, because why not? I mean, the Kurt Russell mullet just looks amazing. And I think that will do it for episode 1 of Rustlin' on Russell. I will see all you Kurt Russell fans around. And remember, call me Snake.
Hey guys, we are back live with Late Night with Take 3. We have Chris Stoneman here, Chris Clark, and the missing Aussie, Jacob London.
He is
I wonder
missing.
if he went to go catch his kangaroo. I'm not sure. But we're gonna jump right into things. We have our Disney slash Fox breakdown, which ironically we need Jacob here for, because he's the one who did all the research pertaining to it. Okay, he's back. He's the one who did all the research pertaining to it. And we will also be doing movie reviews, which I'm excited to break down because we also have to talk about Lady Bird, arguably the best film of the year. So there's a lot of stuff that we have coming for the second half of the show. But first, Jacob, put everything in lamest terms for us. What exactly is 52.843 whatever billion dollars?
$52.3 billion. So, all right, guys. It was officially official on Thursday, yesterday morning. We heard that Disney was going to purchase 21st Century Fox for $52.3 billion. We also heard that Bob Iger will be extending his CEO contract until 2021. This does not mean that I thought. Okay, Abe is also putting in $64 million. From I understood I thought that the 52.3 included the debt. If it doesn't, then yes, it is 64. But okay. So here I will just now want to reiterate this at the start. This is not the end of this. There will be 18 more months of continued negotiation and government regulatory. So we still have another 18 months worth of, hey, there's still a huge amount of negotiation and regulatory before this thing is officially official. So don't go expecting the X-Men to turn up in Infinity War Part 2. Now, I'm just going to go over this is from the official statement from Disney. Combining with Disney are 21st Century Fox critically acclaimed film production businesses, including 20th Century Fox, Fox Searchlight Pictures, and Fox 2000, which together offer diverse and compelling storytelling businesses and are the homes of Avatar, X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool, as well as the Grand Budapest Hotel, Hidden Figures, Gone Girl, The Shape of Water, and The Martian, and its storied television creative units, 20th Century Fox Television, FX Productions, and Fox 21, which have brought The Americans, This Is Us, Modern Family, The Simpsons, and so many more hit TV shows to viewers across the globe. Disney will also acquire FX Networks, National Geographic Partners, Fox Sports Regional Networks, Fox Networks Group International, Star India, and Fox interests in Hulu, Sky PLC, Tata Sky, and ECG. That is huge. Now, speaking with that, in that same press release, there is a discussion of there will be $2 billion in cost savings. Bob Iger was all in the same investor conversation, also gave the possibility of R-rated films, but his statement was very non-committal, saying Deadpool, clearly has been and will be Marvel branded. But we think there will be an opportunity for a Marvel R brand for something like Deadpool. As long as we let the audiences know what's coming, we think we can manage that fine. Disney also now have a 60% controlling stake in Hulu and will have to negotiate with Warner Brothers and Universal, who own the other 40% together. The WGA have released a statement speaking out against this merger. The WGA are Writers Guild of America. In the relentless drive to eliminate competition, big business has an insatiable appetite for consolidation. Disney and Fox have spent decades profiting from the that's a giant word. Giant control that the six major media conglomerates have exercised over the entertainment industry, often at the expense of the creators who power their television and film operations. Now, this proposed merger of direct competitors will make matters even worse by substantially increasing the market power of a combined Disney-Fox corporation. The antitrust concerns raised by this deal are obvious and significant. Writers Guild of America strongly opposes this merger and will work to ensure our nation's antitrust laws are enforced. That is a lot to break down. There is a huge amount to discuss and break down and look over in this. But Evan, that is all the detail.
Yes. There's a lot going on here. The Hulu thing is a lot bigger than I think a lot of people are going to realize. Fantastic Four and X-Men, yay, they're joining. Yeah. Bob Iger's gonna have Deadpool rated R. Whether what he's saying is probably him treading on light water, not knowing the future, but it will be dark. Ryan Reynolds, if you looked at the picture that he posted, there was something like, "Oh, I guess you can't blow the Matterhorn," and it was him being taken out of Disney World. It's gonna be rated R. It was funny when they're listing the movies. Grand Budapest Hotel was a weird one that they threw in there. I was like, oh you're okay. You're gonna list those with the box. Okay, perfectly fine by me. It was just people are saying Searchlight Pictures is gonna be fine. I think from what I've heard, Disney's gonna let them own on their own operating system. What people are really worried about, from what I'm hearing, is Fox 2000. That is a branch that a lot of people are worried about with people's jobs and how that's gonna run. It's interesting to see Simpsons go and a bunch of the FX productions go with that. I'm shocked to see that Fox Sports regional networks are going with Disney, but I wonder what kind of implications that's going to have with ESPN streaming. And also, ESPN has been in a crap ton of debt recently. Maybe this is their start to new ideas in terms of ESPN and making money. But that's like the tip of the iceberg. You hear all this, Doman, and you're really trying to digest it. One, what's your first thought? And two, is there something that's standing out to you that might not be standing out to others? I guess there is not. Chris Clark, what are your thoughts?
Sorry. I'm Discord's acting up. Sorry, that was to me.
Yes.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
What are your thoughts on this? And is there something that sticks out to you that might not stick out to others?
I'll be honest. I'm still trying to soak in this whole idea. Like, as someone who is still in the process of trying to pull off a merger myself, I feel like I should be more like inclined to just fully say I am glad this is happening, but simultaneously, like, there's so much to take in because Disney is acquiring so freaking much. Because now, essentially, it just comes down to one question. How is Disney going to actually run this? And that's a very open to interpretation question, which I'm pretty sure Jacob's going to go on a rant on. So you know what? I'm just going to leave that as a thought in the air for the moment.
Yeah, as A pointed out, it's not a merger. It's literally Disney buying assets from Fox. It is Disney saying, okay, we're going to take these for stock shares and X, Y, and Z and this amount of dollars, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get to the big point later, Jacob, but what exactly, not exactly where they buying, but what type of money, what type of stocks are they taking?
So I pointed out before, the big thing, the reason this has started is Fox are in massive debt. Now, Fox have been in. Now, the Fox Corp, the 20th Century Fox Corporation have been in massive debt for several years now. This isn't a new phenomenon. This isn't like they woke up the other day and went, "We're in debt. What are we going to do? Let's just sell the entire company." They've actually been in debt for quite a while now, and they've been hemorrhaging money. They've been losing money for a long time. It's kind of one of those. All right, the News Corp is going, well, this giant entity that we have is losing us money. With the current political climate that we have, we can go into this other branch that we can secure ourselves for the next 4 years, minimum at least, possibly even more. I think and that's what started this conversation of let's get out of the film business, basically. and it became, all right, who do we sell to? Now, we will get into that whole discussion later, but that's where this whole thing started. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that this company was losing money. And WGA, what is so... I'm going to sound like an asshole. What was so ignorant about the WGA statement? And if you read it, it comes across as it is a typical guild union group going, they're big business, we have to attack them. Now, the issue with that is you are then saying they are big business, they're losing money. And this is the thing that no one seems to be picking up on and we're actually reporting. 20th Century Fox is losing money. It is not generating profit. Why is it still being around? If I ran a store and I was losing money, would I sell? And are people going to yell at us if I sell? No, that's just business. That is what happens. Now, probably not. So I don't see. So Fox selling, that is the story. Is, okay, Fox sold. Who did they sell to? Well, instead of splitting it evenly amongst everyone, they just went, let's just get it over and done with in one heap to Disney.
Yeah. It's less contracts, it's less headache, it's less people to deal with.
Exactly. Now it's one big giant, there you go. Now that is where it comes from. Now I have issues with the $2 billion savings. Now, anyone who hears the word cost savings in any business ever, you know what that means? That means layoffs. That means getting fired. That means, sorry, you're now redundant. And look, that's that happens. That's just what it is. Graham opens up says a good question. If you sold your store at Walmart, people would shout. But okay,
that is true.
That is true.
But all right, I sold my store to Walmart. Okay, so if I sold to Walmart, Costco's also trying to buy it. They're the two options I have: Costco or Walmart. There's no other option. Which one do we pick?
Yeah, people are going to shout anyways.
Exactly. So whoever, so the other person who was in this conversation was Comcast owned Universal. This isn't this is not a black and white thing that is, that was the only other interested party in this. So I don't get where this hatred towards Disney and Disney itself, but and sorry, Grant, I'm not shouting, I'm not attacking. I'm just trying to explain. I'm just trying to explain, and that to me personally, that's what I've been seeing over on the internet, and what I've been seeing a lot over the spectrum of the discussion is people are ignoring the fact that there were two people who wanted to buy this company for the price that Fox were willing to sell, and both companies own massive ass studios. So Something I want to note before I throw it over to Chris Clark.
What Fox is keeping is their broadcasting channel, their Fox News and Fox Sports. Fox Sports right now is doing more successfully than ESPN. That is making them money. Fox News, whether you like them or not, which we'll probably dive into in our 2 cents, they are the biggest news network on cable TV. We'll make slide comments another day, and they're keeping the Fox broadcasting because there's still so much more that you can do with it and more creativity. I think it's smart to keep it. People need to realize that, and that's why they're not selling those 3 things there. Chris Clark, what are your thoughts?
Well, look, this buyout, everybody has mixed opinions about it, whether it's as you guys said, being sold to Walmart, selling out to Walmart is a huge deal. It just looks like a sellout. Any which way you slice it, the audience gets a good product. We're getting now with Disney owning all of this stuff, there's no backlash about what the audience is going to get. Now we can get The Simpsons in Disneyland. We can get a Modern Family meeting, an animated Modern Family on Disney Channel or something. It would be amazing. The stuff that they can procure. It's like they're the studio version of Lego. They now have everything, and we could benefit from these gains. Whether or not we will, this is a tricky situation, but I mean, all I can say is nothing but positivity can honestly come out of this. If anything negative comes out of it, it's probably in the studio end, not in the audience and the consumer end, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Yeah.
Jacob, I know you highly, I know
say-
you highly disagree with this. I think we're finally gonna get into the meat of the conversation. What, like, I know you are starting to get more and more upset the more you think about this. What exactly is going through your head, and what am I gonna disagree with you about?
Everything Clark just said is right. Like I'm not going to disagree with what Clark just said. The fanboy in me is geeking out so much. Like Fantastic Four is going to be in a movie with the Avengers. That is incredible. I am so looking forward to that. But what was the cost? And the cost of that could mean that next year we don't get a Hidden Figures. We don't get that small, really amazing indie film that takes over because there just isn't the room. Instead, we will get another X-Men movie.
I want to debate that really quick because Fox Searchlight isn't going to get touched.
Okay. Searchlight.
Okay, well that comes back to my question of how is Disney going to run this? Are they going to basically just say, "Hey, listen, guys, we like what you're doing. You keep doing your thing," kind of like what I do with the movie Battleground and with Full Metal Trivia in the Worldwide Movie Games Network? Or are they going to be like, "No, listen, we're going to come in and we're going to tell you how to run every single little thing down to the final details"? That for me is the big question.
But point being is, reports are saying that, I'm just gonna let you, from what I'm hearing, Jacob, they're not gonna touch Searchlight, and 2000 will be messed with. And I think 2000 is what produced Grand Budapest, and it's what produced Hidden Figures.
Yeah. Okay. Fox 2000 will go. I like, you can. Okay, right now, I'm gonna get a little political. Comcast is saying we will not charge you for extra internet. Yeah, fucking bullshit. Sorry. It will happen. Now, eventually, because you think Disney at the moment, I have a feeling that what you're going to see is Disney are going to open up. They're going to do what they did with Marvel and Lucasfilm. Marvel will be a offshoot company run by Kevin Feige. Lucasfilm is an offshoot company run by Kathleen Kennedy. Fox, 20th Century Fox, like 20th Century Fox to me would now be dead. Fox Searchlight will probably be it will either stay as Fox Searchlight or it'll be renamed to something slightly different. But it will still serve the same kind of role as. Remember, Disney went down this path 20 years ago. Remember Touchstone Pictures. Learn how to speak.
Buena Vista Pictures.
Yeah, like Disney did this 20 years ago. They went down this path. They owned Miramax. Eventually, they're going to decide these just don't make us money. Now, Fox Searchlight films, like here, these were the last films that they released. The Shape of Water, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing,
Missouri.
Goodbye Christopher Robin, Battle of the Sexes, Patty Cake, Step, My Cousin Rachel, Gifted, Wilson, Table 19, A United Kingdom. That's all this year. Under Disney, that doesn't happen. Now, it does for the next 2 or 3 years. It does. I'm not going to say it does happen over the next 10 years. It probably does. But film landscape is changing. And this is where I'm getting worried. And this has got nothing to do with Disney. Disney won't do something to get rid of these. It will be the audience showing with their box office, we don't want these anymore. And that is what I'm scared of. And I can't blame Disney for that. And I can't blame Fox for that. And that's just the film landscape at the moment. What I am a little worried about is now all of a sudden, a lot of my favorite films of all time and a lot of things that I adore, Disney own. Disney have shown in the past that when they own something, they own it. And that they are very, very difficult in giving you that not under their terms. This deal is going to go through in about 18 months. Roughly 18 months is that's when they say the regulatory will actually be able, they can sign on the dotted line and it will actually work. In 18 months is roughly when when Disney have said we want our streaming service to be available. They want in 18 months, they want in 2019, they kind of want to have their streaming service. What I'm worried about is Disney now have the official all distribution rights to Star Wars, every single Star Wars film ever. They will then have the power to go, you want to see Star Wars? You want to watch the original unedited version of Star Wars? You're going to have to pay $10 a month on our streaming service as the only way that you can see it. And there's precedent for that. Disney have shown precedent for that with the Disney Vault.
But now people would actually have the chance for that, though.
But to me, that's like, okay, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Daredevil, Punisher, you can't get those outside of Netflix.
But they're not films. Like, they're not the movies to actually watch. And I have issues with this. And they're not all-time classics that Disney didn't originally own. And I do take issue with this. I have issue in the Disney will have this power to be a monopoly over these products. And that, to me, is scary.
Like a monopoly over the streaming service, or the monopoly over Star Wars films, or like what specifically?
They will have the ability to do whatever they want with pretty much any Disney property, wherever they are, which is fine, which is great. But like, that's not good. That isn't good, and it's scary that this company who has been known to screw over an audience to inflate prices in the past, because when a film goes into a vault, when a film goes into the vault, the prices inflate and you can't get them until they re-release them at price. Not discounted price for a 30-year-old movie. It's, hey, this movie just came back out. Pay me $30. I don't like that. I don't like that they will have the power to do that.
So, Chris Clark, you just heard something from a concerned fan. What are you taking into this? Is he right? Is he wrong? Or is this something that you're possibly not interested in?
I don't see an issue with that. I mean, it's a selling point. They want a streaming service to be successful. The biggest selling point you can have is to have the original damn trilogy, unaltered, unedited, to be streamed at any notice. They're losing $54 billion. They have to make that back. And, they're going to. And it's a smart business move, especially looking at it financially from a filmmaker perspective. Whatever makes money, do it. I mean, it might sound like a dick move, but it's business. That is business, and it needs to happen. Like, that streaming service is also going to have all 22 seasons of The Simpsons. Most likely, the FX streaming service will be shut down eventually, and Simpsons will be on that streaming service. Another huge selling point. The only place you can watch all the 10 original seasons of The Simpsons that were the best. It's going to be a rival to Netflix. And honestly, Netflix needs that because Hulu doesn't give them enough competition. And you might see price drops because of the competition they entail. So it could be good in the long run. That's my take.
All right. Really quick before I go to you again, Jacob, your last take. Doman, what are you thinking?
I'm on Jacob's side for a lot of this. He's brought up valid point after valid point, and I'm scared. Because yeah, again, as everyone has pointed out, if this absolutely does fully go through as they're trying to negotiate, as they're going to spend the next 18 months negotiating, Disney will own 25% of the market, and they will literally have the power to do whatever the fuck they want. And here's the thing, I love Disney as much as the next person. Disney is my jam. It is my bread and butter. But right now, as a fan, there are fewer things that concern me more than the simple fact of if they wind up destroying the industry because of this, that's going to kill me. That's going to absolutely kill me.
All right, Jacob, your last take.
I don't think we're at that point yet.
Well,
But
yet.
look, yeah, okay. I know. Look, we're all talking about this as though it's Disney's fault, and that's why I said at the start, so very careful about the fact that Fox were hemorrhaging money. They had to make a decision. Disney saw the opportunity and took it. That's great. They have the money, they have the ability because Disney are paying, because Disney are releasing the right kinds of movies that are making the money, that are generating profit, and they are doing really, really well. That is business one. This, and they are doing it right. I'm not blaming Disney for any of this. I am scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried about where the future of this film industry is going to go. But not a lot of that is because of Disney. A lot of that is because of Warner Brothers, because of Universal, because of Sony, because of Paramount. Other than Disney, no other studio is really nailing big, giant, blockbuster movie making on a regular scale. Now, that is potentially a good thing that, hey, they're not nailing the big giant ones, but when they're not nailing the big giant ones, they're not funding the small little ones, because the big giant, like the thing with the big giant films is they pay for the small films.
Yes.
Now, if the big giant films don't make money, the small films are the first ones to go. They're never going to get rid of the big giant films. Anyone who thinks that they're ever going to get rid of the big giant films is an idiot. They are never getting rid of those. Ever. They can't afford to. But it's the little films that will go first. Now, what I am worried about when it comes to this, Disney don't do smaller independent films. Really. Every time they've tried, the films either don't make money or they do very well. Like they're small films.
Like Queen of Katwe.
Yeah, like those sort of films. They're great little films. They are fantastic little films, but no one sees them because they're not the giant Disney machine, and because they have this Disney. They have this problem of the Disney brand over these small films. Now, what I'm hoping, and look, I'm going at it from a worst case scenario. My dream, I think Chris, you are completely right in where I hope this happens. Is that I hope Disney can get their streaming service and it works, and it is a competitor to Netflix and the Apple one that's coming down the line. I hope that happens, and that Netflix and Disney and Apple are able to be a competition, and they will be able to have better prices and will have competitive prices, and it will all work great. I hope that happens. But what I'm scared of is that one of them's going to get scared and they're going to back out. And one of them's not going to go into that race. And instead, they're just going to focus on big budget filmmaking. And I don't want big budget filmmaking where the profits from A Last Jedi go to pay for Infinity War. They don't go to pay for 10 small films. If if the profits from Last Jedi went to pay for 10 smaller Disney films instead, and we could see that. So if Fox Searchlight next year came out and they were Disney Searchlight or something like that, and they went, here are the 10 films that we're releasing from made with a $20 million budget each, or 25, or they gave them a little bit of a budget, and they would release those over a year. And Last Jedi paid for it, Avengers Infinity War paid for it, and another Marvel movie paid for it. Or, if that was what they were doing, that would be amazing. That is the industry working. What I don't want to see is, I am terrified of the year that we get announced that we have 2 Star Wars movies, 3 MCU movies, 2 X-Men films, and a Pixar and a Disney animation once a month, every single month for a year. I don't want that. It's gonna happen, but I don't want it, because that is oversaturation and that is too much.
Well, I was about to say, Jacob, so before we move on, okay, over, under, and I'm sorry to ask this question, but this is the realistic side of me, because this is a big corporation, and sorry, but they're our business, and what our business is about, making money. Over, under 40% chance that happens in the next 10 years, where the profits don't go to the little films and they just go to making more big budget.
We're there in 5 years.
Okay.
I'm convinced of it. We will be there in 5 years. Now, I'm hoping that they prove me wrong. I'm hoping that they prove me wrong.
Well, the thing is, though, we have to prove them right by actually going to these smaller films when they come out, that they're paid for by the big budget blockbusters.
All right. I'm gonna break something down for you guys. June 30th of 1933, as a production company called Miramax was bought out by Disney. That ran under Disney till 2010. Some of the greatest 90s films, also 2000 films of all time, came under this Disney brand. We have films such as Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, Good Will Hunting, The English Patient, Gangs of New York, Clerks, and the list goes on. No Country for Old Men, an overrated movie. The Aviator, Chicago, Chasing Amy, Kill Bill Volume 1, Kill Bill Volume 2, Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs, Transpotting, Gone Baby Gone. All these, There Will Be Blood. Look, all these fantastic films that were made under Disney. Maybe we see Bob Iger take a step back and say, wait a second, we might have our next classic filmmaking idea here. Fox Searchlight might be that, because some of the films that Fox Searchlight have produced have been insane. Have been filmed. Some of these independent films that Fox Searchlight have bought and developed have been insanely good, and some would even go as far as, yeah, this is potentially could be a film that would be remembered for a long time. There's a chance of that, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is we might get the next Miramax. Again, what Jacob is saying is true. There is a chance of that. However, I think competition always finds a way. We're going to see Warner Brothers start to fight a bit harder than I think we're going to expect them to. I think what happens with the DCEU, no matter what, if you take that out of the equation, we're going to see Fantastic Beasts fight a lot. We're going to see Warner Brothers find new properties to work with. We're going to see Universal really work hard to push Jurassic World in that franchise and others in that universe. Look, I think Universal is probably the biggest competitor right now in terms of film. Once this deal goes through, it's Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park alone. I think those are going to be two big competitors. For me, it's more so interest. And we have to also remember, Hulu is either one going to die or two going to turn into the Disney streaming service. It's one of the two. It just depends what it is. and also the reaction between Universal and Warner Brothers for the buyout of Hulu is going to be very interesting as well. There are just a few aligning factors I'm so very interested to watch and develop. And I know it sounds very vague, but look, we have to look for the future. Look to the future. We will be seeing the Fantastic Four with the Avengers, hopefully soon. X-Men with the Avengers possibly soon. We have Jacob pointing his finger. Your very last point before I talk about one of my favorite films of the year.
Okay. My last point about all this that I don't think enough people are talking about, it's just something that does need to be brought up. We still have 18 months of continued negotiation. What the fuck do Fox do for the next 18 months? And what if this deal isn't legal and they can't do it? 18 months in the film industry is a lifetime.
Yeah. We're going to leave that up to question. We're going to let you guys speculate on that. But now we're going to transition. We have about 15 minutes or so to talk about some of the films that we have not reviewed. Some of the films that I really want to talk about, such as this one right here.
I was about to say, Evan, I think we'd have to do an entire podcast for films we haven't reviewed that we should have.
You know what? We're going to start out with Captain Underpants. 3 of us here have seen it. One of us, I guess, lost his childhood. Chris Clark, you have seen Captain Underpants. What are your thoughts?
I saw it a while back. But yeah, Captain Underpants was, if you go by the trailer, it looked like a piece of utter garbage. The trailers didn't do this movie justice. The animation looks and pops right out of the page of Captain Underpants. Each character had great chemistry with one another. The animation was great. The writing was awesome. It was a very solid family film, and actually, sadly, we didn't get a lot of good. We didn't get a lot of good animated family films this year, which is sad. And this is one of the good ones, and it got buried under the rug. And I wish more people saw it because it was just a joy. When I saw it, I was happy. It brought back a lot of memories from childhood, reading those books in the playground while on the swings. Yeah.
Jacob, you didn't have children, but I know you did see this movie. Did this bring you back to your childhood?
That's segue.
No, look. Yeah, really interesting segue.
Jeez.
I watched this the other night. I thought it was funny. I thought it was charming. It was very funny. I thought it was a different animated style that I enjoyed. I don't think it was fantastic. Like, I don't think it is one of the best animated films of the year. I don't think it's one of the best movies of the year. I think it was a very enjoyable, entertaining, fun, and funny adaptation of a series of books that I read as a child.
So I'm looking at it right now. It was a film that was budgeted $38 million production budget. So we'll say $50 million total because the marketing was a bit weak, to be honest. And it made 125 worldwide. So it made its money back at the least. Look, I think it's probably one of the better films of the year, in my opinion. I think it was an unexpected film, a surprise film for me. The way how they told the story, it was charming. It also had a really good message for kids at the end of the day. The action in it was really interesting, and how are they able to do a throwback to the book and the flip-o-rama technique that they talks about. Look, I had a lot of fun with this film. It's probably one of the most enjoyable theater experiences I had. The kids were locked in through the whole film, and it was only an hour and 29 minutes. A film like this shouldn't be longer, and it stuck with its runtime, and it stuck with its guns. And it's one of my favorite films of the year. I think it is the second best animated film of the year behind Coco. And look, I want to bank off your point real quick. I would argue this has actually been a decent year for animated films if you were to compare it to last year as well. Lego Batman was a fantastic movie. Captain Underpants was a fantastic movie in my eyes, and Coco was a fantastic movie. I think Cars 3 was pretty good, and then some would argue Boss Baby was a decent movie. I still haven't seen it, which I need to. But if you say that, that's 5 good animated movies. Last year, there were a few animated films that we have never heard of that got nominated for Oscars. That just shows how weak the wide release animated films are from last year. So this potentially is a sneaky good year for animated films that people aren't talking about. But we're gonna move on to the next film that all of us have seen, which is Wind River. Something that I still stand by as the best film of the year. It's very easy. Taylor Sheridan wrote probably the best script of the year in this movie. It's going to get overlooked for reasons that Harvey Weinstein bought this film. Screw you, Harvey Weinstein. And it is a film that needed to be told. The acting performances by Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen are out of this world. And the direction is really well done. And it is a solid movie with really high tension and really emotional hitting moments but it's not hitting you over the head. Goldman, you saw this movie. You were raving about it when you came out. Quick thoughts on this film?
I'm still raving about it because it's my second favorite film of the year, and this movie hit me really hard because as a student of American history, as someone who really studied it a lot in high school and just wanted to keep learning more and more and more, especially about how absolutely god fucking awful we were to the Native Americans, and seeing that have times changed? No. It's just it's the same house but a different coat of paint. And this time it's, on these reservations where it really is no man's land. You don't want to be out here. And the film shows that in such a realistic and heartbreaking way. It holds no punches. There is a very unfortunate scene involving a group of men and a woman.
Yep.
Which it hurt. That scene hurt. It hurt me to watch that. But I'm so glad I saw it. I'm so glad that it showed how awful people can truly be. It doesn't matter what your upbringing is. It doesn't matter what your background is. This movie was amazing for me because, and sure, I just talked a lot about how awful people are, but it also showed how fair people can be. And to me, Jeremy Renner's performance is his character is one of the most fair people out there in terms of justice. He's a true man of his word, of his integrity, and you see that in the climax of the film, which again, all that hurt, but in the best way.
Chris Clark, I know you didn't enjoy the film as necessarily as much as the other three of us did, but what you still enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on the film?
Oh, it was fun. The Native American. It's been a while since I saw it, but the scene that Chris is talking about isn't just gut wrenching. It's disgusting. But that's sad. You know what I'm talking about, Chris?
Yeah, but I think you're coming at it from the wrong angle.
Okay.
We agree to disagree.
That's okay. But it is what it is. It's not one of the movies that I would have necessarily gone to had I not had Movie Pass. It was a very, very, the cinematography was fantastic. The editing was good. The ending was great with the dad. But it is what the movie itself. I wish we kind of reviewed it when it was fresher in my head. But it's a movie that really deserves the accolades that it gets. Yeah.
Jacob Blunden, how did this film strike you, and is it one of the best of the year?
So I'd just seen it for the other day. And no, I thought it was very, very, very good. I think this is going to be an incredible film, I think this is an incredible. Sorry, this isn't. I think the characters are incredibly well written. Jeremy Renner's character, this to me is Jeremy Renner's best performance he's ever given,
hands down.
I adore The Hurt Locker, and I think he is incredible in The Hurt Locker. But he really was able to bring something, and he was able to grief, but with age. Like, a lot of people like he didn't do the over the top grief that I think we've seen. Like we never got that scene of him just bawling his eyes out and having that really showy emotional scene, which
Yeah.
is which most of these type of films do. And I thought that was something that was very well handled and extremely like we got to see a man who went through something horrific and was still grieving about it. And I thought that was done. I had a few issues with I think it's a little slow in the middle, but it's deliberately slow and it works. But it's a bit it's a bit difficult to explain, but I do think they're without like really going into spoiler territory. And there is a few issues that I had in the middle, and definitely, and also, this is just me personally, but I don't think the asshole suffered enough. So
No, he didn't suffer enough.
yeah, like especially after that scene, that the scene, they do such an effective job of breaking your heart and seeing just how horrific that is. That,
frankly speaking, honestly, like he should have taken a baseball bat to the nuts. He should have had.
No, but there isn't that catharsis just you are longing for, which is, I guess, the mood that they want to give. But that's the mood that they want to give you. Well, yeah, there isn't that catharsis, and I'm not just talking about the one guy. I'm talking about the.
Okay,
that's spoiler territory. But yeah, it's because there isn't that catharsis of I just want to see this happen, and you don't get that because, which is, I guess, good because father didn't get that, and Jeremy Renner didn't get that. So I guess that it puts you into that mindset. So I don't know. I thought
and you know what? Actually, to be honest, again, without spoilers, but in the climax of the film, I feel like that's where Jeremy Renner got his catharsis. Because he saw justice prevail. Like he saw the fairness of the situation as it was. And he saw the irony of what happens, and that is ultimately where he is just fully accepting of, again, what happened.
We're gonna move on. I think only two of us have seen the next film, and then we're gonna end the show off of this. Greta Gerwig's directorial debut in Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse.
How is it that I can't get? How is it that the guy who fucks up names can get that one?
Timothy Chalamet.
Don't even. No, this Oscar season. I'm gonna host an Oscars podcast. I'm gonna host an Oscars podcast with a guy whose name I can't fucking pronounce. That's
all
gonna
right.
be great.
But Lady Bird, probably one of the best directed, acted, and raw movies of the year, behind another one that I'll talk about another time. Chris Tillman, you have seen Lady Bird. I think it's your favorite of the year, right?
It is my favorite movie of the year.
Whoa, even after yesterday. Okay.
Well, okay, to be fair, Last Jedi is fighting. It is fighting. If we're going straight to my favorites, it probably will be my number one at the end of the year, sadly. Because I'm a biased fanboy and I don't give a shit. But Lady Bird is one of the best of the year. It's one of the best of the decade. To me, this is a slice of life film that, to me, spoke so personally because I am Lady Bird. In a way, I'm a young person who is stuck in a small town, just trying to get the fuck out, trying to go do something with my life. And I just don't have the means of making it happen yet. And I have family that supports me, but they want to support me on more so their terms as opposed to how I want to go about it. And have I made the kind of mistakes Lady Bird has? Oh, good God. People, if you knew me in high school, you would have hated my fucking guts. That's the truth. Because, again, watching that movie was like reliving my senior year. And well, speaking of catharsis, I left the theater in tears. Like I literally got back to my car and I just about broke it. The movie pretty much broke me in the best way, because like I said, it hit me in all the right notes, and once again, it helps when you have likable actors, likable characters, likable direction, and a good solid script. Unlike another certain movie that I know Evan's referring to. We'll go 12 rounds on it one day.
Look, Lady Bird is a fantastic film directed by Greta Gerwig. It is some of the best acted that I've ever seen. It has two songs in it that I really enjoy. One by Alanis Morissette and the other by Dave Matthews, which I will forever hold to my heart. And I thoroughly enjoy this film, and it is one of the best of the year. The other one that we will not be going 12 rounds on because I do not want to deal with that tonight is The Florida Project. If you have not seen it, go see
Fuck
it.
that
dude.
movie.
You have told me is an objectively brilliant movie. I have you on record saying that.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
So again, go see The
Evan,
Florida
if you and I
Project.
want to go on what people record,
It is the most raw and visceral movie that has came out this year. But with that said, we are going to close out Late Night with Take 3. Chris Stoneman, plug everything that you can. You have about 30 seconds. I want to see how you do under a clock.
You guys can follow me on Twitter. My band Last Shot Redemption at LSAR Band and Man. You guys can follow Take 3 Productions on Twitter and Instagram at Take 3 Trivia. You guys can follow the Worldwide Movie Games Network on Twitter at WWMGN Take 3. And you can find me on Letterboxd and Stardust at Chris Take 3. Fuck you, bitch.
All right, we're going to move
Well
on. Chris Clark, thank you very much for engineering the show. You, Doc Ock, the best. And the show would not survive without you, and I appreciate you and everything that you do. Thank you very much. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. You can find me all next week at 8 p.m. EST doing Suddenly Soundtracks. You saw the ad in the break. We're doing a Christmas marathon. We judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides. You can find me on YouTube at No Man's Land Entertainment. And not this week. We're taking a bit of a break. No family game night, but it'll come back. It'll be fun. But that's always a disaster on either Friday or Saturday nights. So, bada bing, bada boom.
All right, really quick before I go, I want to thank Kristen Smith, Abe, Graham Butler, Jessica Morgan, Mr. Anaconda Bite, and Malcolm, and all of you guys in the chat today being active with us. I thank you very much. You guys are part of the reason why the show keeps running. I would like to thank Jacob London here. I would like to thank Chris Stoneman. I would like to thank Chris Clark for being on the show today. And I'm Evan DeGraff, guys. And you guys know what to do. Uh-oh.
Evan, you did not let A,
Yeah,
Jacob to the
I was
plugs, and
waiting
B,
for
we
it.
were supposed to
I was
plug the
waiting
damn
to
website
say
and
it.
iTunes feed.
Yikes.
You are an
guys,
ass.
you guys can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Jacob London. You guys can find me on my letter, including my review of Star Wars The Last Jedi on Letterboxd. But guys, most importantly, the new website is up and running, and the iTunes feed is also up and running. Above me right there is, well, above Chris, but above Chris right now is the website. Go there now. Our entire feed of all of our shows are audio-only versions. They are up there now. Below in the description is the iTunes feed. Just copy that into your iTunes podcast, and you, or even to any podcast app that you have, just copy that feed into the RSS podcast feed, and you will be able to listen to all of our shows in audio version. But guys, that's me.
And since we're stopped, just a real quick reminder, tomorrow night we have our Die Hard live watch along. So please come join us to watch one of the best Christmas movies ever.
So just like our country, I guess I forgot about Australia and how important they are. Like I said, thank you all in the chat for being active with us. I'd like to thank Jacob London, Chris Stoneman, and Chris Clark for all being on the panel today, talking a bunch of really crazy stuff in film. I'm Evan DeGraff, guys. You guys can follow me at EvanDeGraff15 on the Twitter. Watch this show. We have our spectacular reaction coming up. We have a special guest to reveal very soon. And, well, guess what? Take care.